Mahala Monday it is. Good morning, everybody, and welcome to Mahala Monday, the final day of January, in fact. And here you are, here we are. It's absolutely beautiful to have you along with us. And we've got a guest. But firstly, Rhoda, good morning.
Good morning, Dougal. Good morning, guest.
Good morning,
Everybody. Welcome to Mahala Monday.
Absolutely wonderful that we have a guest today, isn't it?
Oh, yes, definitely.
COVID's almost over.
Yes.
Well, our guest is none other than Damien Stander, who's joining us today. And he's with OptiGrowth. Now, with Damien, firstly, welcome. Good morning, man.
Thank you very much. I'm happy to be here. It's nice to be in person, not on Zoom, and not to talk via connections and Wi-Fi issues and that kind of stuff. So it's good.
I'm glad.
No, it is absolutely brilliant to have you along with us. Now, today, of course, and you'll remember we spoke about this in our ad. So it's a brand new year. 2022 is going well. First month is basically done because we're at the final day of that month. But more importantly, we're going to talk about health of business, and this is super important. So whether you're a business owner, you're an entrepreneur, you want to take your business to the next level, you want to sort of look at the health of your business, consider things like freedom. This is something we spoke about. Freedom. And what do you understand around freedom of business, Rhoda? Because I understand nothing.
For me, freedom of business, for me, is like, I want to go on holiday. That's how I understand freedom of business, guys. Yeah.
Exactly how I understood it, but I didn't want to say it. So that is what we're going to talk about. So this is definitely the show that is a tool for you, and this is going to be your guide. And more importantly, he's got the answers. But Damien, let's first get into this. So you with OptiGrowth, okay, we've spoken to you before. People might not know exactly what OptiGrowth is or what it is that you do. Just give us a quick overview.
So OptiGrowth plays in the coaching game effectively, but we don't see ourselves as business coaches. What we see ourselves as doing is being more of a confidant to business owners. So we focus on the business owner, we focus on the executive team, and the idea is to take the journey of building your company with you. And we do that through three objectives. We take the first one of doing a knowledge share. So how do we take the information, the methodologies of what we use and how we do, and how do we share the information with the business owner or the executive team? From there, we then look at taking that information, testing the business itself, and seeing how the business has currently implemented that methodology or that process or that system of the business. And then from there, to putting a plan together to practically implement. Now again, every business is different. Every business does different things, different industries, but they're still a business. So the practical implementation of things is the same for any business, whether you are a plumber or you are a videographer or you are even a corporate playing in the marketing game, for example. Everything is the same around a business structure as well. So simple.
So in terms of the foundation, and of course then you've got COVID to deal with, a pandemic that has thrown a bit of a spanner in the works, but once again, it is, I suppose the variables given different times, will change. Now, of course, I know you got a lot of questions and comments out there, so the details at the bottom of the screen at Nickay Productions, that is how you can get in touch with us, and that is what we're going to do. So Damien, let's start off here, because Rhoda and I try to define business health. And a lot better than me, but I'm going to have to dabble in it as well. But in terms of when you look at a business freedom, when we spoke about this, of course, this is something that you can assess, and this is where you guys come in. Now, why would you even need to do an assessment?
So the big thing for us is always we don't measure, it doesn't matter. So how do we take your business right now, see what the fit is, see how you fit into the business as a business owner or executive, and how involved you are. Now, freedom is about the lack of involvement in your company. Can I step away from the company? Can I choose to step away from the company? And am I then able to have the business run and perform at its best without me? Now, that's counterintuitive. A lot of us as business owners think we should be involved, and if I'm not there, the business will die. But that means when you do eventually decide to leave, the business is worth nothing. And we forget that to have business value and to have worth, the company actually has to operate without you. So how do we find freedom from operating and working, being task-driven, being in a place where we don't have the capacity to hand over or delegate, and get there and then effectively choose what I want to do? If that means sell the company because I've got an asset that's worth something, go on holiday, be a director on the board or be the chairman of the board where I can plan and direct people rather than doing the work, that's the ultimate freedom. And that's what we strive to do. So the assessment is about testing for that freedom.
And it is important for businesses to test this. I mean, this is gone.
I would think so. It's like your financial management. If I'm not making money, how do I know I'm making money? If I don't have a way of reporting on it or sharing information with my team or my directors or my stakeholders, how do I know what I'm doing? If I don't test who I am, particularly in the freedom assessment or in a freedom state, how do I know what I'm doing? And that's what we're trying to get to.
Yeah. No, and it definitely sounds interesting. And the one thing I want to say as well, that you brought us some slides because we've got a PC and everything here that we are going to be using. So the freedom assessment, and I know you explained it here, but now I want you to really jump into it. You sort of gave us the layman terms, but give me the meat.
Why you need.
So the big thing of the freedom assessment is, again, to measure. If we don't measure, it doesn't matter. I want to know right now, am I in the current position, and how do I get out of that position? How do I move away from what I'm currently at and the state I'm in to improvement? Nobody wants to go back.
No.
Easiest example is fitness or exercise. If I'm overweight, I can't do something or I can't get somewhere, I've got to test my fitness level right now and plan how to improve it, and then retest and retest and retest and see the progress made through. That's the basis. It's really that simple. If I can't test it, I can't grow it, I can't do anything, it's not going to matter much anyway. And again, our biggest thing for OptiGrowth in our little slogan is control, freedom, and growth.
Oh, yeah.
How do I take control of what I'm doing? How do I know I have control? Find that freedom and then eventually grow as well. So the assessment helps me take the control and then find the freedom.
Okay.
And just to be clear, with somebody's watching this, this is now, as you mentioned earlier, it doesn't matter the scale or the size of your business. So whether you've got a very small business, entrepreneur or something, or you're a big conglomerate of sorts, it doesn't matter. This recipe remains.
It remains the same. You've got to have certain structures in place to do it. And remember, you as a business owner can choose to keep your business small, to keep it as a lifestyle, to scale from being a small to a lifestyle business, or to go international, go corporate, go big. It's completely up to you. But again, do you have the freedom to choose that? Do you know how to get there? And that's the big thing about the assessment. Where am I currently and how do I get there then?
Okay, brilliant. Then one of the big questions I know a lot of guys out there, obviously running a business as well, is always to talk about an assessment and an evaluation. And I mean, that's always this question that pops up. And so what is the difference between the two for the business owners out there?
Personally, for me, evaluations are scary. So evaluations are something that they test me, do I know something or not something? Right? It's like it's a formal test, taking what I know now and comparing it to what I should know. Versus an assessment is, where am I in a current state and how do I move from that current state into the next state? What do I do to get myself better rather than you are right or you are wrong effectively? I think that's the biggest way that I can sort of justify the difference. So the one is a test, the other one's just a progress report.
Yeah, okay, all right. And because I would just treat both the same.
Look, for me personally, sometimes it gets a bit confusing, and I think it's easy to think of them as the same thing. I mean, both can test something, but the one is effectively progress, which is assessment, and the other one is I'm right or I'm wrong. I'm a percentage of something which makes me right or wrong.
And I want to be clear there, because there's how do I put this? It's also people who have different businesses.
Oh, yeah.
So even if you're just selling pancakes or whatever, and I mean what I'm trying to say is, it doesn't matter what your business is.
Not at all. Again, it's just the fundamentals. As long as we get the fundamentals right, any business should operate and be able to scale. Yeah. Of course, there are a few elements to it, and we'll talk about that just now. But again, the fundamentals should be set, fundamentals should work, and we should have a way of building your company up in any business or any environment.
Okay. Wow. So now that we understand the difference then of assessment versus evaluation, what is the methodology that you as OptiGrowth has based this assessment on as well?
So we've used pretty much, I think, quite a basic scheme, the idea being a triangle. So what is the most fundamental need we need, and then building up to that need as well. So the first and the most fundamental level of the pyramid effectively looks at revenue. And the biggest thing is, my old man would always mentioned, is if you don't sell, you die. So if we don't have good money in, the business can't generate an income in any which means you won't be able to pay staff, you won't be able to pay expenses, and the business effectively will flop and just die. So how do we then get revenue? How do we assess the revenue? And then we have subsections of that revenue. We need to have a marketing plan. So how do we assess our market? How do we plan for the market? How do we reach out to the market and show the value we're creating? Secondly, does our pricing model work? So am I making enough profits out of every sale I make? And then lastly, which is recurring revenue, is do I have a predictable revenue stream? Can I take my monthly income and purposely predict when it's coming in and how it's going in? So it's very, it's simple stuff, but there's a lot of complexity you can add to it to make it more structured and to again make it more predictable going forward as well.
All right.
All right. The next, sorry.
No. I'm just thinking, when you say what do you mean predictable income stream?
So if you're the pancake salesman, or the pancake lady staying in the rugby field selling pancakes while the teams are playing rugby, the question will be, is can I guarantee that person's going to come buy a pancake from me, or are they going to go buy somewhere else and buy a burger or a burrito roll or whatever else it may be? If you can't predict it with some sort of accuracy, then the revenue's not there. You can't guarantee that revenue will coming in. So I want to find a way of taking my business and guaranteeing that money will come in. And that could be things like loyalty programs, could be things like contractual agreements through an annual retainer or something to that effect. How do we guarantee that revenue will come through? The better we can guarantee it, the more I can plan, the more I can predict, the more I can move forward and know something's going to happen in my company as well.
Almost, so if I could define it in this way, it might not be the right way to vote, but almost to force, force is a strong word here, but almost to sort of navigate any potential customer or buyer or service person in need to me.
Exactly.
And I think looking at the rugby field and just comparing would basically be, okay, telling the rugby team or the coach, I'll give you a discounted rate if you guys take 15 pancakes from me. So automatically you're guaranteed 15 pancakes sales already by the time you reach the field.
Exactly.
Look, I'm a canny businessman, let me just be honest. Do that at the teams that lose because they would want to eat.
True.
Yeah, I'm not going to comment on that one. Right, the next one. So the next one we look at, so once we have revenue, the big question then becomes how do we manage that money? And the big thing is financial management. I think this is an area that most business owners tend to, I wouldn't say do half-heartedly, but they're not quite as mature as they should be with regards to their financial management structures. And again, the three elements to that looks at accounting, which is how well do I record and how well do I understand what my business is doing? So do I understand my revenue breakdowns? Do I understand the cost of that revenue? And do I understand the expenses that I'm going through as well? On top of that, you have a balance sheet, which obviously talks about your assets, your liabilities, and your owner's equity. And then we've got to look forward as well. So we can't just look at what's happened in the past, because that's what accounting does. Purely looks at transactions happened, how was the transaction utilized, and where the transaction come from. We've got to look forward and start predicting and planning our growth as well. So when I've got a forecast in place, I can start targeting, I can start pushing forward, I can start measuring how well I'm doing as well from a financial perspective. The last one, I think the most important one that most business owners will feel is how my cash flow looks. Do I actually have cash flow in the bank? Do I have money in the bank? And there's a very nice phrase of revenue is vanity, profit is sanity, and cash flow is reality. I can make as much money as I want to. If there's no profit, I can't pay my expenses. And if my customers don't pay me, there's no money in the bank. So what's the point then? So cash flow is a vital part of most small business owners' needs as well.
Say that again.
Revenue is vanity, profit is sanity, and cash flow is reality.
Remember that, people. I'm going to write it down.
All right. The next step. Once we have the management and the profitability side of it, we've got to look at how we structure our business to bring about best practices. So how do I take my business and how do I make sure my teams or my people or even myself are utilizing those processes to work best for the business?
Okay.
So sales process, pretty simple. I quote, I get approval, I send through an invoice, and I then have to hand it over to my projects team, my operations team to deliver. Simple process, but those things have to be followed. I can't get approval, send a quote, or invoice, get a quote, do approval. It's a bit backwards and forwards. You've got to have the structure in place to make sure things happen at a coherent and a formal level. I've also got to then measure it. So things like your key performance indicators, your critical success factors. Am I going towards achieving my goal, and have I or have not achieved my goal? So a key performance indicator looks at the indications of how well I'm progressing. A critical success factor is a yes or no answer. Did I achieve the revenue I targeted? Yes or no. Did I get the market, the target market I want to do? Did I reach out and did I achieve the scale I wanted to? Yes or no. A critical success factor, a KPI, looks at how far I am from it and am I progressing towards it as well.
Okay.
And the last one is company policies, which says, do I have an overwhelming or a surrounding structure that guides how this process works and how it integrates and how it moves between the rest of the company policies? Again, lots of business talk and a lot of terminology, but it's important to understand that because as my business matures from being just a little lifestyle business to a scalable business to a growing corporate type of business, I've got to start having things in place because more people start needing to have information available. If I'm sharing it from Damien's side as the big business owner, the big CEO, and I can't show somebody, give somebody a document that says this is how you run my accounts department, I've got to physically go and explain to them, and that's it's not efficient.
Yeah.
The big thing about these first three parts is, and it's something that we can consider for any small business, is we do this automatically, right? We know this from experience, we know this from how we operate. If I get money in, I know I've got so much money, I can spend so much money, and I do it a certain way. So these three fundamentals are pretty much interlinked with any starting business. It's when we start moving along the scale, moving along the timeline of the business, we have to start dividing or splitting between these ones and put more focus on this. Any questions so far?
No, because this is what everybody is thinking, and like you say, these are the things, and I suppose a lot of people are doing these things already, unbeknownst, and you know you need to do it, but they haven't defined it yet.
One thing we talk about to our customers: can you articulate or can you show me a document that tells me how you do it? Because you're doing it, but show me how you're doing it. Tell me what you're doing. And most of them struggle to that point. They can't physically put down what they're doing into paper or put it into a point or a presentation to go, this is how my business operates. And that's what we're trying to achieve here. Show me what you do rather than telling me what you do.
Yeah.
All right. The last part is we then look at things like organizational structure. So once I've got the process, once I've got the structure in place, how do I then add people? Because without people, I can't run my company. Yes, we can automate. Yes, we can have robots and all those good things, but at some point, there's still going to be human intervention. So if I don't have the ability to share that and to have people come on board, I then start struggling. So the big thing about the structure of the business is, what are the positions that fit into each function of the company? Are those defined? Are those clear? Do I have the right people within the structures? And lastly, do I have a plan to succeed those people? So if Rhoda is off one day or she's sick and she can't present here, who fills in for her? Does Dougal do it by himself or does someone else fill in for Rhoda? And what are the conformities, what are the guidelines, what are the structures of who must be here if Rhoda can't be here? And do we have that in place and clarified? So pretty simple, but again, it's more about adding people now, and that's when things are getting really difficult.
Yeah.
If I have my own company and it's small and it's unique and I can do it by myself, it's easy. As soon as I explain to Dougal, to Rhoda what to do, they can take their own opinions, their own thought process and start mingling or changing, for good or for bad, what they do in the company as well. So I've got to guide them into how to support my business the best way they can. And the last one is effectively the ultimate thing we want, which is freedom. So how do I take my business, sorry, now I've got to go through all the little clicks and steps. How do I get my business to the point of freedom? So how do I ultimately take control, and do I know what that control and that exit looks like? So once I have that total amount of freedom and effectively looking at sellability, so how do I build my point to be sellable? Because when it's sellable, I have options. I can choose not to sell, I can choose to sell, I can hand it over to somebody, or I can sit on the board and I can literally just hand it over and let people run. I can give them instruction, they can move on and do the business themselves. And that's the ultimate place I want to get to.
Yeah.
Oh yeah,
because
freedom.
Freedom is a big word, and it's not just a big word from Braveheart, William Wallace, or anything. But freedom is a big word because when people start out a business as an entrepreneur, and this is where you might find yourself now watching this, you are motivated by the sound of ching ching, isn't it?
Yeah.
And to put it in a word, that will be freedom, because this is where our joke actually now comes out, where, you could take a holiday. To what you said, it's like for the business to operate doesn't mean I have to be there. It can almost sustain itself in a way.
Well, the nice thing is, the question I always ask is, I can get 10 Rand from every Rand, or so they say 10 cents from every Rand Dougal earns, and I'm not working for it. Surely that's the plan. Surely that's the goal. Why must I earn a full Rand when I can have Dougal doing all the work for me, but I save money out of it? And then I add another Dougal and another Dougal and another Dougal. That gives me the opportunity to have multiple Dougals, and I can earn a full Rand by somebody else doing all the work.
Yeah, and let's be honest, the Dougals are
very expensive.
So,
very expensive.
But also they make you a lot of money.
True.
Yeah.
So the question would be, obviously, for everybody watching now, before you start the survey, are there any aspects that they need to know about before it gets done?
It's a good question, and I think it's something that everyone should look at first and think about. So the first thing is, our survey is subjective. So no one walks into your office and says, let's do an audit, let's assess everything you do, and then let's give you a score. You answer the questions, it's your perspective, it's your view. Which sounds a little bit counterintuitive, but again, we're not evaluating your business. We're asking you to put down a measuring stick or a yardstick and say, this is where I'm currently at. The next thing to consider is, you're obviously to read the questions carefully. So yes, there's a lot of business terminology, a lot of jargon. If you don't understand that, that's fine. That's the reason why we're here. We're here to understand the state you're in, but you have to make sure you read the questions carefully, because there could be some nuances in how the questions are being answered. The third one is, if you don't know the answer, don't give yourself a score for the answer. So if you partially in, let's say, answer 3, partially answer 4, but you feel like you're closer to answer 5, answer the answer that you more relate to. Again, if you're not doing something, you're not doing it. So rather plan for it, work for it, and be more critical than be a bit more lenient. And the last thing is to remember that this is a maturity test. It's a maturity assessment. How mature is your business in its current state? Are we able to take your business right now and grow your maturity and grow the structures you're in? And are we able to make it happen faster or slower? If you're not going to be honest about where you are, that's going to be a lot slower process. But also remember, we can't have 100%. There's no ways any business can be perfect or fully mature.
Yeah.
So any score from roughly about 60 to 80% tends to be quite a good score, and we try and build companies to about an 80% score as well. So I think those will be the big ones to consider.
Because it is important to note that there won't be 100. Even if you are the most successful business on the planet, you still have dreams and goals. You still have plans. You still want to do so there's no 100%.
Well, and the big thing is the only constant is change. So things are always changing, things are always moving, things are always adapting. COVID was a very nice example of how people had to quickly change their businesses. So with that change comes a whole relook of processes, relook of structure, relook of your organogram. So you can't be mature. You can't have 100% there because you have to start relooking at things again from the start.
Yeah. And let's use the COVID as an example, because if you, all of a sudden when COVID came, if you were implementing this, if you had these if you've done this test now, let's say a while ago, or you've been working towards it, at least there would have maybe been some prep towards COVID. I mean, nobody could, it was very difficult. But I'm saying if you were in a position, in theory, you can sort of sustain these sort of things. We know a lot of businesses couldn't because nobody expected the length and the breadth of it. But as an example.
Look, COVID is one aspect of it. There's also the general economy as well. So, I mean, as a South African, proud South African, we've been in a state of decline for a long time as well. So COVID was just a nice little push for most businesses not to be able to survive. If we had structures in place, if we had things in place as a company, we might have been able to protect. But literally, if you look at the tourism industry, the restaurant industry, hospitality industry, they literally have nothing. They've got nothing to work on, nothing to do. So unfortunately, it's one of those cases of you either survived or you didn't.
Yeah.
The more prepared you were, the better, obviously, but yeah.
Yeah. And the reason I'm asking you this, because by completing this assessment, how will it help you then to grow your unique business? Because everybody who's starting out, they all feel that it is unique, and if the pancake lady, and their COVID is a bad thing because now you can't go anywhere.
There's no events.
Yeah.
So again, I don't think the assessment itself will help you grow your business. I think the progress past the assessment will help you grow your business. So a reminder that the assessment looks at what am I at right now, how well am I doing, or how mature am I, or what state am I currently in? What is the plan to progress forward? What is the idea we're going to have to then move from the current state we're in now to move forward? And like I said, for OptiGrowth side, our biggest thing that we try and do, our three main objectives is knowledge share, business testing, and then implementation. And then of course, reassess. Once we've had 6 months or a 3-month period or a year period, let's do assessment again and see if that state has changed. Has it moved backwards, moved forward? What has happened?
Yeah. So, you know what? I've got a question with that as well, because you've got to constantly do it. But what I quickly want to do is, because I see there's quite a number of questions and comments on Facebook, and I just want to turn your attention to those, because one of them jump into what you have just said. And firstly, thank you so much for your questions and comments coming through, and keep them coming, because Damien Stander from OptiGrowth is with us, and as you know, we're talking freedom, business freedom, how scalable it is. That's a word I've just learned, people. I'm learning. It's Monday. So we've got a couple of questions and comments, and thank you very much for it, and keep them coming. So Hubert Paulson has said something, and Hubert, what's up? Good morning, buddy. Hubert says, the biggest room in the business world is the room for improvement. You can only achieve this if you're constantly measuring your business.
Man, I definitely can agree with that.
Yeah. And just to be clear, it's not like he just said that in. He sent that in 15 minutes ago.
You should be sitting here then.
He sent that in quite a while. And then now we get to the bit that ties into what you've said. Measurement is the first step that leads to control and eventually to improvement. If you can't measure something, you can't understand it. If you can't understand it, you can't control it. And if you can't control it, you can't improve it.
I should put that on my slide somewhere.
Wow.
I think so. We're going to take your quote.
We're taking your quote, Hubert.
Yeah. And that's tying in exactly to what you've said.
Again, it's about assessing. It's about constantly reviewing where you are. If I do, so again, I mean, we can have plans, we can have strategies. I can work towards putting something in place. But if I don't take that effort, and if I don't see if it's actually working, how do I know something's happening? How do I know something's moving forward or moving backwards if I don't keep measuring?
And Damien, I've got to be honest with you, because and I use this example purposefully earlier as well, because because I'm not a business owner. I'm not, you know what I mean? I don't have businesses or anything like that. So it's a different thing for me to understand. And the reason I say this is because when I think of people starting a business, I go, yeah, they want to make money. Do you know what I mean? And there's nothing wrong with it. Please make money.
I'll make money all the time.
But you know what I mean? This is what you think of. But I've never defined it with the word freedom. Looking at terms of that. So when the way you've defined it now, all of a sudden I go, oh yeah. Because the person that you work for, where you earn a salary, is doing that.
Or building towards that at least.
Yeah, or building at least towards that.
Yeah.
So that is really what it's about. So it's still continually growing. We got a couple of more questions. Ian Miller's asked a question. The Null has asked a question, and we're going to get to those as well. In fact, let's can we do Ian's question quickly? Let's do Ian's question. Ian, thank you so much for sending this through as well. Absolutely wonderful to hear from you. Ian is asking, can the model work for an NPO where all the members work as volunteers but fully committed to the values? And now let's put it to the values of the cause, the NPO, whatever, they're fully committed. But would this model work as well?
Definitely. So remember, an NPO is still a business. The only difference is an NPO doesn't focus on building profit or sharing the profit with its shareholders. There's still got to be a company structure. There's still got to be a revenue generation or funding mechanism. There's still got to be management running financials. There's still got to be a process of how you operate or how you deliver your product or your service to your clientele, whether that's the poor, whether it's the people who are moving around, doesn't matter. So it's all about how the business is structured, and particularly in NPO is quite difficult because you have stakeholders who are very, very interested in where the money is being spent as well.
Yeah.
So even more reason to have structure and more reason to have that sort of goal in place of building that freedom as well. Because, and it's nice to hear, especially because you have volunteers, as long as they buy into the values of the company, you can direct them into the areas that need you most. It just means you have a very, very small salary bill. Which was a win.
And also, to add to that, because any public benefit organization would have a serious amount of goals and needs that they're trying to fulfill, and that is constantly growing.
Exactly.
The goalposts is will always be shifting. Let's throw in one more question here, and thank you very much. And then this one comes in from Nanal. Says, good morning, everybody. Happy Monday. What is your top tip for starting a new business in the semi-post-COVID times, apart from the business assessment? Also, the assessment, does the business need to be a specific size, small versus medium, or even bigger businesses? Which I think you've touched on, but for Nanal's purpose.
So I think the first advice I'll steal from our content who said it, just start. Whatever you want to do, just start something, put the effort in, start going, and again, build around that. It'll happen automatically where you start picking up on things you need to learn. If you can make a bit of money, get the money in and start learning how to use your money effectively to run your company. Don't wait for something to happen, rather just go out and do it. So once you start, whenever you have the time and the effort to put in place. With regards to doing assessments, anyone can do the assessment, small, big, just started, not started. Again, it's about finding that current state we are in, or the state you're in right now in your business.
And this is where your business comes in, because the Null way has sort of addressed the elephant in the room. I want to start a business, but I have a product, I've got a bit of a service, I don't really know what to do. You know who you phone?
OptiGrowth.
This is who you phone, because they will help you with a business plan and all of that. So this is the person phone him. him. Yeah, he's here, man. You phone him. And this is it, because a lot of people want to start something, but they've got no idea. And I know you said just start, but yeah, if you've just started or somewhat started or made half an attempt, at least go see OptiGrowth, because they will immediately, something you'll only discover a month away, they'll tell you right now.
Exactly.
And that's what it's about.
There's a very nice phrase. The entrepreneurs and business owners wake up terrified and excited every morning. There's always fear, there's always excitement, there's always something happening that's out of control. You have to accept that, and unfortunately that is the mindset of what an entrepreneur and a business owner is. It's not always good, it's not always bad, but there's always something happening.
Okay, let's get back to the assessment quickly. So without doing the full assessment, because I mean, obviously time is against us right now. So without doing the full assessment, I know you got some sample there for us just to go through one of the questions, just for people to understand exactly what it looks like, and obviously how they need to read it extremely carefully before they actually answer these questions.
Sure. So the first thing is, the nice thing is our assessment is on our website. So OptiGrowth.co.za. There's a little tab on the left-hand side, nice bright orange, doing freedom assessments. Go read through the information, click on get your score. All you got to do is add your email address, and I think it's your name and company name. And from there, it's about a 15 minutes effort to put in 20 questions or answer 20 questions. So as an example,
All right.
when we look at a questionnaire, the first thing we have to realize is we've got to have some form of measure to go against. So we use what we call the maturity scale, so 1, 2, 3, or 1 to 5. And effectively what it looks, or how it's scored is, 1 would be it happens as when needed, there's no structure to it, it just goes. 2 is repeatable. 3 means there's a document that defines how we operate. So we've got policy or a process in place that's actually written out and can be shared with our staff. 4 is that someone's actually managing it. So somebody's sitting back and going, okay, all the wheels are turning, all the cogs are greased and everything's working fine. And then 5 is every year we review how that policy, that process works.
Yeah.
So when we structure our questions, we ask a question and then we give it a scenario situation for each one of those potential states, I suppose.
And that is and that would be. But now on that, let me just ask you this, because different business day. If I've got taxi and selling pancakes, I'm just doing that in the winter. Do you know what I mean? So
then you must answer the question that way.
yeah, and then this is the thing. There's no right or wrong here.
Exactly. But I was actually also going to say, because normally when you do these assessments or, when you ask these questions, always one is bad, two is not the case. Like this is just answering a question according to the number that's there, and not like 5, I'm going to press 5 because 5 is good.
5 is good.
This is not it. It needs to be exactly where I'm at in my business and what I'm experiencing.
And look, that's also why we had a bit of a debate internally. Do we randomize the questions and try and make it a bit more, I wouldn't say confusing, but try and make it a bit more sort of, so you don't try and gamify it a little bit.
Exactly.
But we did think rather show a metric or a scale of how the progression works so you can understand where you are. Because again, this is an evaluation. We're not trying to show you how wrong you are. We're trying to assess the state and move you from one state to the next state as we go through. So as an example, if we look at the first question, this is particularly focused on your revenue band. So we're looking at your offer to the market. So is the following statement true, and how does it best describe your offer to the market?
Okay, so before you answer it, assume this is me selling pancakes.
Okay.
All right, let's go.
So I'm assuming you're the one person selling pancakes, right?
Yeah.
With your, what's your little pancake mix and your
There you
little
go.
boiler, whatever it is.
Yeah.
So, number one, it all depends on the customer, and we customize it depending on what the customer wants. So as an example, the pancake business, do you just do flat pancakes as in plain pancakes with a bit of cinnamon and syrup?
Yeah.
Or do you add chocolate chips, or do you add banana?
Yeah, we do all of that.
All of that. And if the customer comes to you and says to you, I want to have a pineapple in my pancake, are you going to run to the shop and get a pineapple and cut a pineapple and put pineapple in the pancake?
Hopefully I have it there.
So more than likely, number one will then be your answer, right?
Okay.
Because now you'll do everything for what your customer wants. Generally, in marketing terms or business terms, I want to have a set offer, set off the market. I can plan for what I need then. So number two, most of my employees have an understanding of what we offer, but each person adapts it to their needs. So there's a certain understanding of how we go run a business and how we do our company and how our company moves forward, but everyone sort of adapts it to what they think. So I'm a pancake person, but I can also be a flapjack person. Or I can also be a bread company potentially as well. We can always, the batter's a little bit different, but we can still make batter to make bread, for example. So if I ask Dougal or ask Rhoda, what does Damien's company do? And we're all in the same business, there might be 3 different discussions on how it works, but they might all be the same as well, potentially. There's no real continuity to it. Number 3, we have a defined offer to the market, and this has been shared company-wide and implemented. So I can almost guarantee you that everyone will say OptiGrowth does this, or the pancake company does this, and we are specialists in building plain pancakes with cinnamon and syrup. Nothing more, nothing less. We make the best cinnamon and syrup pancakes in the world.
Yeah.
Okay? For being managed, there's a defined marketing department. So now we've got a team of people who are ensuring that the offer going out to the market is working it. It's being communicated consistently and clearly, and it's being managed by both between internally and internal and external stakeholders as well. So again, that talks to there's a particular person responsible for this. So it's not just Damien, Dougal, and Rhoda. There's a person like Rhoda who's now responsible for my marketing brand, my marketing message. The 5th one is we annually review what our customers' needs are. So we do an external assessment. We do an internal assessment as well. And so does the business purpose still work? And then we ensure that the office is crafted to incorporate both. So we go through a cycle or a periodic process to then review what we're doing and how we're going about it. Now again, there might be aspects here that we do and we don't do. We might have a defined marketing department or a business development department with marketing function, but we don't necessarily know what marketing means. So then, from my opinion, this should be moved to a 3 because you might have it, but you don't do it yet. So again, rather be very clear on what the answer is and choose the best fit for what you do right now, because that's the state you're currently in.
Yeah, and just to be clear, I mean, we're looking at an example here of your freedom assessment, and this test is to where we are right now, this point in time, not where you want to be next
Not
week,
where you wanna
or
be.
where you were 6 years ago, nothing like this. This is where you are right now. And may I just say, this I almost think is mandatory for all organizations, businesses, and especially, and just to quote Danelle there, in a little bit of a semi-COVID situation, pandemic, coming out of that, and hopefully never returning to where we were. But this is almost So yeah, the scales are different. The atmosphere is different. Everything is different.
Exactly. And look, again, we're trying to assess the state. So I don't want to be proud. I mean, don't be proud about where you want to be. Think about where you are now, because you will get there eventually if you put in the right building blocks. You can't build a house without a plan. And if the plans are in place, we don't know what to change or how to change it, we can't get our house built, and if we all lopsided, funny, and hopefully probably fall over in the wind as well. I've got 2 more questions, but I think we might not have time for that.
No.
So I thought just at least to give you guys some indication of how the assessment works, because again, I think it's a very good point we made now. It's about the state of the business right now, not what I think my state should be or how I feel it should be.
Exactly.
Now, Damien, let's get into the big question here, because as I said earlier, I mean, obviously any business is starting out, they've got to go to, and this is obviously also, like you said earlier, when it comes to the freedom assessment, it's the maturity of the business. How long is the business around? Are you still on the road of where your goals and targets were to gain new markets? Doesn't matter the size of your business. Here's the important thing. What is the catch? Why, when you do all these wonderful things, this is really the true blueprint for what the business has got to do. Why is there no charge on this? Come on, don't.
So
what is the catch?
politically correct answer is that we want to give something back, and it is true. We definitely want to give something back. We want to give people the opportunity to see where they're at, to find their state, and to figure out what they need to do to get better. The selfish one is come talk to me. Give me an opportunity to talk to you. Do your assessment. There's no commitments. There's no reason why you can't. But just give me an opportunity to have a look at your business and share information. Let's have a chat. Let's see if we can't put something together. And maybe you decide to use, maybe you don't. But you can walk away with an assessment of your company. You can put your own plan together and try yourself. There's nothing stopping you from doing it on your own. Try it yourself. I just want to have a chat with you. I want to be able to sit down in front of you, talk about your business, and maybe convince you to use us as a service provider to you.
So I'm going to jump in, obviously, as somebody that's dealt with you guys and with OptiGrowth and with the team. And you can take my word if you don't or don't want to, but I've experienced the company as well. And I mean, this is the reason why they're here today, because you know what, they're brilliant, they're excellent. OptiGrowth has pushed our business, and that is Nickay, and even Mahala to another level. So you know what, you need that push sometime, because especially being, like I've told you many times, being the first time business owners, there is so much to learn. There's so many things like this now, things that you're not aware of. So you know what, OptiGrowth is there to be able to assist you. Take advantage of it.
Now you have to, and it's funny you should say that, because I was going to trick both of you with that, and you've jumped me to it, the tricky roader. But it is, because it's been you've walked a road with them, and I mean we're putting our cards on the table here. There's no funny stuff here.
Exactly.
You've walked a road, and let's be honest, I've known your business for a while, but there we go.
There we go.
Even with the last 2 years pandemic, goals have changed, but.
Exactly,
there we go.
Exactly. Look where we are today.
And look, remember, just to add to that, the biggest thing is not about us necessarily helping, it's about us being a soundboard.
Exactly.
Test ideas, play around with questions. Again, we get very stuck in our company. We get very stuck in what we do and how we do. We don't look wider than we need to sometimes.
Yeah.
So why not ask somebody? I mean, how comfortable do you feel talking to your friends or your family about business? They don't understand what you're going through. They don't understand your financial situations. They don't understand the pains and the issues around your specific business. So find somebody who actually is there to support you and help you, not just try and show you how good they are.
Yeah. No, that's very important.
That's
We've got a comment in from Hubert, and that's where we're going to leave it. Success is not final. Failure is not fatal. It's the courage to continue that counts, and that is.
So Hubert is the quote king.
No, he is.
Quite king.
Yeah, no, he certainly
Hubert's
is. He certainly is. And thank you very much for that. And thank you very much for all the questions we received as well. So, Damien, the biggest thing is there are small businesses out there. There are people who's just got the idea of, I want to do a business. Everybody's looking at this. This is the end goal. Going through the word freedom. This is the end goal.
Yeah.
They want to start it. How do they get in touch?
Go to our website, do the assessments. An email come back to you, schedule appointments, and let's see each other. It's very simple, very easy. It really is that simple. Otherwise, you can go onto our website, you can contact us on the number provided or the email provided, and let's have a chat. Again, there's a no obligation, free chat. I say free, no obligation, free of charge chats. That's the easiest part. That's the easiest way to get there.
All right. So also we just want to say hi to Lawrence, who is watching. Lawrence, how's it going? Lawrence Jacobson is watching. So. Hope you're all cool. And I hope you've all find this very, very insightful. I mean, I don't even have a business, and listening to you, I'm like now coming up here with, man, just don't Don't laugh if you see pancakes coming down. If you see pancakes coming down down
Dugan, I'm listening to you now. I'm going to basically, I'm kind of going to show you up. You cannot say that you are not a business. You are a business on your own. So you know what? You also need somebody like OptiGrowth.
I was going to say you're a brand. You're your own
Exactly.
brand. So
There we go.
just because it's not structured as such, it should be.
There we go.
Pancakes, man.
There we go.
Dessert, I'm pudding. Barbara is watching, Shirkan is watching, even my dad is watching. Hey, Dad. So a lot of people watching. I just want to say morning to all of you, and thank you very much for tuning in. Any final thoughts for you? Because that's where we leave it. Shir has actually said you guys have got to show more, because this is absolutely vital. But this is the important thing. Once again, doesn't matter the size of your business, and I do think the first thing you ought to do is speak to, just have the conversation, like you said.
Exactly.
Just chat to us. Again,
Yeah.
obligation free. There's no pressure. We'll show you what we do. We'll show you how it's done. We'll do an assessment with you as well. Just chat to us.
Yeah.
If we can't work together, we'll show you. We'll show you the way forward, and then maybe you can, maybe you can't. At least you know where you are.
Yeah.
The final thought is we are again with COVID lifting again. We're looking at doing seminars. So again, if you want to be part of it, send us your email. We'll put you onto our mailing list, and you can join us for free seminars to have a chat, share information, talk about business. If you want to share and network some more as well, it's that simple.
Yeah.
Excellent.
And your website, very simple. It is www.optigrowth.co.za, and that is as simple as that. Damien Stander, thank you so much.
pleasure.
What can I say?
I'm happy to be in. I'm happy you guys enjoyed it. I hope everyone
yeah.
else enjoyed it as well.
No, I'm sure that I
Everybody
learned something.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, I've learned what Rhoda knows.
Good.
Oh, my word.
There's a lot more. There's a lot more too.
There's so much more
She's
to
very
it.
sneaky. She don't tell me everything. But thank you so much for your time, and thanks for being here.
Pleasure.
And for sharing the insights. Rhoda, well, there you have it,
Yeah,
eh?
definitely.
The big question is freedom. How much do
Freedom.
you have?
Exactly. And I think this is your end goal as a business owner. You can't always be working for the rest of your life. You need to have an end goal. Like everybody else that works for a company, they need to retire one day. So that's exactly in business. You need to have the day when you actually have a bit more freedom. Not necessarily leave your business, but have a bit more freedom.
Yeah, no,
But I can tell you this
certainly
much: my parents definitely don't want to retire at any point soon. So
Exactly.
for them, it's about working when they want to work and not necessarily working when they have to work.
There we go. That's the magic word.
And that is putting it awesomely.
Exactly.
It certainly is. Most of all, thank you for watching. And of course, as Damien said, you know what? It is about the health of your business, your current state, where you are. And now when he started off by saying it is all about the honesty and what you want to achieve. So it is very easy. You got to get in touch with them. You go to their website, www.optigrowth.co.za. You can do this freedom assessment. It is free of charge. There's no obligation. But wouldn't it be brilliant talking to people who can really scale your business and grow your business and get it to the heights that you want to be. So thank you very much for watching. Thank you for all the questions and comments that came in from Damien Stander, Rhoda and myself, Dougal. Until next time, thanks for watching Mahalo Monday. Cheers, everybody.
Cheers, guys.
Bye.